because that's so hard. So when I was preparing to share my story, I started where all great speechwriters do, the internet, and I listened to podcasts, I watched TED Talks, I read eating disorder blogs, and I think to myself, oh, I need to say exactly what he did, or oh, I'm gonna be exactly like her, right? And then I realized, I've tried being someone other than myself, and it was exhausting. For 7 years, I was a shell of the old Lindsay. I would pretend things were fine, when in reality, my world was a mess. I was exhausted physically, mentally, emotionally, living 2 different lives. So today I'll give you me. As scary as it is to put myself out there, I worked so darn hard to find my voice again that I'm not gonna waste it being anybody else. What I wanna share with you today are what I believe are the 2 keys to finding freedom. This was true for me and also for hundreds of men and women that I've interviewed and studied. And actually in doing this research, I found that there are 3 things that really trouble people with eating disorders, and I wanna share that with you first. The first thing that really trouble people is they don't know how. They wanna recover, but they don't know how or where to start. For 7 years, I felt like I tried everything. Anyone else feel like they tried everything or have a loved one try everything? Yeah. I tried residential, outpatient, nutritionist appointments, dietitian appointments, individual therapy, group therapy. I tried medication, meditation, yoga, and all the fancy therapy tools we know so well, DBT, CBT, journaling, right? I'm exhausted just saying it. So today, I hope to simplify recovery because it always felt overly complex and complicated to me. The second thing people really struggle with is their self-worth. For years, the eating disorder voice convinced me that I wasn't good enough, that I was only as good as the clothes I wore, the people I hung out with, or the number on the scale. In fact, I was accepted to the top 4 business school programs here, Harvard, Stanford, Wharton, and Kellogg. And I truly believed the eating disorder voice when it told me I wasn't smart enough. Add shame to the mix from the behaviors, and I couldn't find a single thing to like about myself. The third thing people really struggle with, their relationships. Because I didn't know who I was, I struggled to genuinely connect with others. During grad school, I'd often sleep through important celebrations. I left weddings early to go have a date with the eating disorder. I sabotaged my most important relationships, romantic ones, friendships, and alienated the people who love me the most, my family. And my family's here with me today, so thank y'all for sticking with me. So I want to tell you life doesn't have to be this way. Freedom is available to you. And again, there are only 2 things you need to know. It's simple, but also very powerful. Who's ready to hear these 2 keys to finding freedom? Thank y'all. So to make it even simpler, they both start with the letter M, so you can remember it. The first M is for your mindset or your belief systems. The second M is for modeling a strategy that works. This is your action plan, right? And actually, once your belief systems are solid, the strategy is actually the easy part. And remember, the quality of our life is determined by what we believe about ourselves. Let me give you an example. Who here has ever had somebody break up with you or someone leave you in a relationship? Yeah, I have. So when that happens, you have several ways to think about it, but what you choose to believe will determine the quality of that experience and reinforce what you believe about yourself. So when someone leaves you, you can say, he left me because I'm not good enough. Or you can say, thank God she left me, so she can make room for someone who's right for me. Right? So when you slip or relapse in recovery, what are you telling yourself? Because Henry Ford was right when he said, whether you think you can do something or whether you think you can't do something, you're right. So if you think freedom isn't available, you're right. Right? Our belief systems are the filter that turn on or shut off our ability to produce any results in this life. So when you say you can't do something, you're programming that and shutting off that part of your brain. When you say you can do something, you're opening up that possibility in your nervous system. Now, for years, I tried all the strategies without believing in myself, without having my head in the game. Can you imagine anyone else attempting the biggest feat of their life without believing in themselves, without having their head in the game? Take Olympic snowboarder Red Gerard, right? He gets to the top of the mountain, he clips in his snowboard, he's peering over the edge of the mountain and he says to himself, I can't do this. This is really steep. These other guys are way better than me. It's cold out here. I think I'm gonna go back inside. Right? What would happen if he thought those thoughts? How would his run have gone? Because when we doubt ourselves, we give energy to that doubt. And we start to filter all of our experiences through a lens of doubt or a lens of not good enough. And so if you have somebody come up to you and you're in recovery, you have a friend come up to you and say, hey, Jenna, you look really healthy today. And you're viewing everything through a lens of doubt or not good enough. Jenna thinks to herself, my friend thinks I'm huge. My friend thinks I've lost control. But what would happen if you were viewing everything through a filter of love and possibility and gratitude, and that same friend comes up to you and says, hey, Jenna, you look really healthy today? You might just think to yourself, wow, it's nice to have a friend that actually cares about me, takes time to comment on my well-being, right? When the things, excuse me, let me take a look here. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at start to change. So I'm sure you're all saying by now, great, Lindsay, let me just snap my fingers and wave my magic wand and adopt a new set of beliefs. Right? So how do we change our belief systems? The first key to doing this is just believing it's actually possible. Is it possible that you could shift your beliefs and see that recovery is available to you? Freedom is possible. The second key I want you to remember is you become who you associate with. If you want to change your belief systems, surround yourself with people who have achieved the results you want and duplicate their belief systems. Duplicate their behaviors, their actions, their beliefs. Right? For me, my path was yoga, because my instructors, I found, were living their lives congruently on and off the mat, and I wanted to emulate that. They put value into healing their bodies and their minds, but they didn't view each other as just a body or just a mind. They viewed each other as something bigger, a soul. So I surrounded myself in the yoga community, but look, there's no one-size-fits-all approach to recovery, and that's good news. That means there are lots of paths to finding freedom. Your path won't look anything like mine, and that's okay. But remember who you're surrounding yourself with. Is it people who lift you up and empower you and light you up? Or is it people who bring you down and tear you down? So of course, Red Gerard couldn't only have beliefs in himself, he had to have the strategy piece too, right? He trained, he put an action plan in place. Did he fall? You betcha. But he got back up. He didn't say, this isn't for me, I'm not gonna do this. He got a coach, he trained, he took what was working and he left the rest. If it wasn't working, he tweaked it and made it his own. And that's what recovery is about. DBT, CBT, it's not working for you, that's okay. Find something else, something will work for you. So today I've shared with you my beliefs, because I believe you aren't defined by your eating disorder or your struggle or your pain. You're defined by your relationships, starting with yourself and with God, if that's what you believe. You're defined by how deeply you love, the impact you have on others, and what you contribute to this world. I believe you were created to feel real freedom and happiness, to feel comfortable and confident in your own skin, and to give love and receive love regardless of your looks or a number on a scale. Look, God doesn't create anything by accident. You were created with a purpose and with unique gifts to share with this world. And I believe you were created to find freedom. What do you believe? Thank y'all.